In this video, I'm going to be talking about the top 10 Tony and Christopher scenes that I find to be the most significant. In this scene, we get to hear from Christopher in his own words.
I don't know, Tony. It's like just the fucking regularness of life is too fucking hard for me or something. I don't know.
It's a simple yet powerful way of expressing what I think a lot of people feel, but maybe don't feel comfortable expressing out loud.
I bet you're sleeping all the time, right?
It's the only thing I still enjoy. Maybe I have cancer.
He feels like something's wrong with him. He must have cancer, right? There couldn't be anything wrong with his mental health.
Thinking maybe you're depressed.
Me?
Maybe you got a serotonin problem. I'm gonna go back in there and be with my guests. Exactly 10 minutes I'm gonna look up. If you're not here, I'm gonna assume that you went to look for whatever the fuck it is that's calling you out there. And then I will never see you again. If you are still here, then I'm gonna assume that you got no other desire in the world but to be with me. And your actions will show me that every fucking second of every fucking day. Now, you understand me? Don't answer me. Take the 10 minutes. You think about it.
We often think of Christopher staring at the family getting into their car at the gas station as his big moment of reflection. But here, in D-Girl, is where it really set Christopher on the path that he led for the rest of his time on the show. Jackie Jr. tried to rob the card game. So Christopher wants to take care of it right away. Christopher wants to kill Jackie Jr.
Why not? Because I said so. Why? I don't gotta explain anything to you.
You preach all this wise guy shit, and meanwhile the only ones who gotta play by the rules are us.
And then when Tony tells Christopher to stand down, Christopher tells Tony he's a hypocrite.
You're a fucking hypocrite. I loved you.
What happens I decide, not you. Now, you don't love me anymore, well, that breaks my heart, but it's too bad, because you don't gotta love me. But you will respect me. You ought to sit down with two bosses.
You got a real hard on for me, that's all I know.
Oh, you think so? Take the Parkway. Guy in there killed your father.
In the season 4 premiere, Christopher is kind of frustrated with Tony, and Tony can sense that. He asks Christopher to pull over, and then he points to a guy and says, "That's the guy that killed your father." I don't think that Barry Haydu is the person who killed Christopher's father. I think even just from the way Tony's speaking, maybe, yeah, probably. I almost feel like he sort of gives it away there. But like Christopher said, he obviously wanted you dead.
They hit my dad right outside my house, right? He's bringing home a crib for me?
Yeah. Well, no, he was outside the house, but he wasn't carrying a crib. He had a bunch of TV trays. Could have been a crib just as easily.
That him? With the sombrero on?
No, you can't tell from here. Well, maybe yeah. Yeah, probably.
Tony tells Christopher that he's going to start giving orders through him and only him, and that Tony's counting on him.
You been drinking?
Me and Aid had some wine at the house.
Been wanting to talk to you. I gotta make it my #1 priority to limit my exposure to potentially damaging conversations and wiretaps. Over the next couple of years, more and more, I'm gonna be giving my orders through you. And then finally, only through you.
Tony tells Dr. Melfi regarding Christopher, "I started the process of bonding him to me inseparably, and it looks like it worked, just how Tony planned."
Whatever you say, T, I'd follow you into the gates of hell. What you did for me, I'll never forget that.
In this scene, Christopher and Tony are disposing of Ralph's body. I find it significant because Christopher is seeing with his own eyes that it doesn't really matter if you're a made guy. What matters is whether or not Tony wants you alive. Christopher is also the only one who knows what really has happened to Ralph. Still probably assumes that he was killed by Tony, but it was Christopher who literally helped him get rid of the body. And now Tony also knows that Christopher is still deep in his addiction.
Whole life in front of you, Christopher. You throw it away on drugs? Okay. 1, 2, 3. You're my nephew, Christopher. And I love you. And that's the only reason you're alive right now. Or anybody else. Anybody. They would have their fucking intervention right to the back of their head.
This is right after Christopher's intervention, when Tony tells Christopher that he can go to rehab, but that if it were anyone else, they wouldn't be alive right now. So now Christopher likely feels even more indebted to Tony.
I gotta worry if you're gonna flip over a nickel bag of white powder.
No, Tony, never.
You lied to me. I told you were the future with his family. I gave you that responsibility.
Tony.
I'm only gonna go with Patsy up to this rehab place in Pennsylvania. You're going in. You're staying in. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Huh? Do you understand?
Tony, I'm sorry. You always have my back, though. Like that day when I came to the house. I gotta talk to you.
We actually don't see this scene until season 6, episode 9, The Ride. After Adriana comes clean to Christopher about the FBI, and before Tony calls Adriana and tells her that Syl's gonna come pick her up and take her to the hospital. He doesn't know all the details, but he certainly doesn't minimize it with Tony. In fact, when Tony asks how much did she give them, he says, I think a lot.
When'd you find out?
Just told me last night.
What do they know? Huh? What'd she give him?
I don't know. I think a lot. Oh, Tony, how could you even think that? I can't. I can't do it.
All right.
I can't.
All right.
I can't do it.
I'm gonna take care of it. All right. About time you invited everybody over.
It's Kelly's idea. She's been wanting to get her teeth wet with the entertaining.
Good thing, else I'd never see you. All right, so what's up with you? You've been like a ghost lately. You're around 1 second, next thing you're gone.
I was by the Bing the other day.
For like 5 minutes.
You know, you of all people should understand how hard it is for me to be around that place.
I should? Why?
Because you're in therapy. You understand the human condition, at least.
Tony tells Christopher that he feels like he's a ghost, like he never sees him around anymore. So Christopher tells him how hard it is to go to places like Satriali's and the Bing. He gets tempted to drink, to use, and then Tony comes right out and tells Christopher that he thinks Christopher is just using his addiction as a crutch, calling it a disease as a crutch.
I just quit. You want to be it? Too bad. I ain't quit no more because of my stomach. It put me into a relapse. Now, believe me, I'd like to, but I don't.
It's not that simple. It's a disease. I inherited it.
Disease concept. I think it's bullshit.
So my dad? You obviously must have knew he had a crutch. Come on, Tone, huh? Let's be honest about the great Dickie Moltisanti. My dad, your hero. Wasn't much more than a fucking junkie.
You got it. Help me. I'm covered.
I'll never pass a drug test.
What?
You gotta get me out. I'll lose my license.
In this final scene, where Christopher and Tony are together, Christopher tells Tony he'll never pass a drug test, to call him a taxi. I think he comes face to face with the fact that no matter how many chances Christopher's been given, he can't seem to escape his demons, and he remains a big liability.
Never pass a drug test. Call me taxi.
Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. What were your favorite Christopher and Tony scenes?